Well, we're pleased to be joined in the Shepherd Home Health and Hospice studios by a couple of members of the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs. Please welcome in David Bond and Rick Farmer.
Thank you, Todd, for having us.
Good morning.
Appreciate both of you coming in. And David, I haven't gotten to meet you before. I think I may have talked to you one time. Talked to you quite a bit over the years, Rick, but appreciate what you guys always bring to the table, because you look at policies that are important to the people right here in Western Oklahoma, and you always have some great insight to offer.
We're trying, thank you. We're trying to get around right now, letting folks know about the state question. There's only one on the ballot in June. And so we're going all over the state talking with folks about that.
Well, it's important. I know, Rick, a few months ago, you and I did a little bit about this and some of the other potential state questions, but it is a real deal. 832, as he mentioned, is going to be on the ballot, but it's going to be on the June primary. So I guess we scored a little bit of a victory. It's not going to be on the November ballot, right?
Well, it's going to be up here just in a few weeks, and I think that most people are not really thinking about it. They're not fully aware of it. It's not completely on their radar screen. So part of our purpose is to just get people to be aware of it.
So question 832, I guess I'm paraphrasing it here, but it is to raise the minimum wage in Oklahoma to $15 an hour. But that's not it. It also potentially would raise that every year based on, the consumer price index in places like California and New York. Is that correct?
That's right. So it would bring to Oklahoma basically California's minimum wage structure, which has been a huge job killer out there. And in all three of the West Coast states, this is the minimum wage structure they have. They're the states that have had it the longest. And so what it would do, 832, if it passes in June, is in three steps, it would more than double Oklahoma's minimum wage from the current level all to $15 an hour. And then, like you said, every year after that, it would increase based off the CPI cost of living index that the federal government puts together each year for major cities. So Oklahoma City and Tulsa are not included on that list. Nowhere in Oklahoma is. It's places like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago. Those are the places that would be used. The cost of living in those places would be used to determine how much the minimum wage structure goes up each year that small businesses all over the state have to deal with, whether they can keep up or not. And it will apply to any type of business with employees. It will apply to full-time and part-time employees. So a lot of part-time jobs are going to go away, just like they have on the West Coast after these things have been put in place for 10 years or more. It's going to apply to any industry. It removes the farm exemption for family farms on the minimum wage structure that Oklahoma family farms currently can utilize in a very, very, very seasonal industry. And it now treats them like any other industry, banking or manufacturing or fast food. It treats farming and ranching the same as all those other industries. And it has been a huge job killer in these other states. And the other thing it's done, too, is it has resulted in tons of price increases on essentials like groceries, food, housing, whether you're trying to buy a home or rent an apartment or anywhere in between, childcare, fuel to put in your car, all those things. Most of those things are double or more what they are here in the state of Oklahoma. We've seen enough price increases here on those things as is, but what they've seen on the West Coast after these things have been in place has been so much worse. Those are the three highest grocery price states in the continental U.S., California, Oregon, and Washington. Meanwhile, we're one of the three lowest grocery price states in the continental U.S. So to go that direction would just be incredibly destructive for small businesses in Oklahoma, for families in Oklahoma, for senior citizens who are not going to see any kind of Social Security increase as part of this, but they will have to deal with those price increases that will come as a part of this.
Because let's be honest, you raise the cost of doing business, the consumer is going to pay for it every single time. So potentially a $5 burger going to be $10, $15, right?
Well, in these other states that have done this before, it results in either job losses or price increases, usually a mix of both. Sometimes it's, I don't know a small business who doesn't want to keep a quality employee and will do everything they can to keep that quality employee. But on those West Coast states that have been doing this a while, what that often looks like is, okay, you get to keep your job, but to keep the doors open, we're going to have to slash your hours. You're going to get less hours. The average in Seattle, for instance, I'm glad we took Seattle's basketball team. I think we need to leave Seattle with something, and I think we need to leave them with how they do minimum wage, let them keep that. Because after 10 years of doing this in Seattle, the average take-home pay for folks at that lower end of the pay scale, who this is supposed to help, right, has actually gone down.
Yeah.
They're averaging less money in their paychecks now at the end of each month after 10 years of doing this. That's what we would be signing up for in Oklahoma. Those are the folks who, some of those folks do need help, a higher wage. Some people, though, just want a part-time job. Some people just they're a student, they need a part-time job, or sometimes a retiree needs a part-time job, not necessarily to be the breadwinner, but to either start entering into the workforce, entering into a career path, or at least entering into a work path, or a retiree, just something extra to supplement Social Security in those retirement years. There's all those kinds of jobs that start going away when you put in these onerous restrictions on small businesses. And then the big guys, the national corporations, what they do in states that are doing this, they accelerate the rate at which they're replacing people with automation.
Yeah.
You go into a McDonald's in L.A., it's a different experience than going to a McDonald's in Oklahoma.
Kiosk.
It's all kiosk.
I hate those things.
But that's how it is. I was in McDonald's in the L.A. area a little over a year ago. Didn't see people working there. Maybe occasionally saw someone bringing out food. Otherwise, you're just dealing with machines. You go to McDonald's, most places in Oklahoma, you're interacting with people who work there even when you go inside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Well, the first thing that bugs me about a minimum wage in general, and especially now talking about increasing it, who the heck pays minimum wage? Even the people I saw in the Sam's parking lot trying to get people to sign the petition, I guarantee they weren't making $7.25 an hour. I know we haven't been able to hire anybody at minimum wage. My part-time people are making $13 and $14 an hour with no experience, and that's the same convenience stores, all other businesses. Who the heck's paying minimum wage anyway?
That's a really great point, too, Todd, that you made about experience. This will apply not only to full-time or part-time jobs, it will apply to every industry. It will also apply to any level of education, any level of experience. Somebody who's been doing a job 20 years will be treated the same as somebody who just walked in the door and has no experience even working. We need this to be a state where entry-level jobs are still plentiful. My wife, Marcia, and I have 2 teenage sons. One of them will turn 16 next month. He wants to work. Praise God, we've raised a son who wants to work. So many of his generation don't. They've realized that I might not have to do that. He wants to. We need this to be a state where that entry-level work is prevalent for him. I remember my first job outside of the home. It was at Albertson's Deli in South Oklahoma City. And my second night on the job, right before closing time, they fry chicken in those places. And right before closing time, somehow I managed to empty the entire vat of chicken frying grease all over the back of the place. Right before closing time. I learned a lot about work that night.
Yeah.
And I'm not in that job anymore.
That's why you're here. You couldn't hack it.
Right. I couldn't hack it with the chicken. They let me keep my job. They certainly did not give me a pay raise, and that's fine. But those are the types of jobs that we need Oklahoma to still be plentiful in. And on the West Coast, where they've been doing this for 10 years or more, they're going in the opposite direction. And the price increases that have come from that are very, very real. I mean, try to put a gallon of 87 octane gas in your car in California. It costs you more than double what it does here in Oklahoma. Yeah. We're worried that it's pushing $3.50 or $4 a gallon here. It's double that in California, literally double.
Yeah.
Those type of price increases on Oklahomans would just be nuts.
So I think the issue with the $7.50 minimum wage is that the market has already replaced that.
Yeah.
I mean, as you say, you can't hire anybody for less than $13 or $14 an hour. Did I hear that Whataburger here in town's $15 the starting pay? So the market's already replaced that. The problem with this is the escalator that's in there every year. So when minimum wage in like 3 years gets to $15 an hour, it doesn't stop there. It keeps going up. And so that's when it's going to really start to put pressure on all these other jobs. So it's those high school kids jobs that will be a problem in the next year or two, but it's going to be all those other $15, $17 an hour jobs that are going to get pressure put on them in about 5 years from now.
The other thing, in my opinion, that it does to employers, let's say you're a small convenience store or a repair shop or something like that, and you've got some entry-level people, but you've also got some people that have been there for a couple of years. Maybe you've got guys that have worked there 2 years. They've worked up to $15 an hour. Mm-hmm. An entry-level guy is making $12. Mm-hmm. You give him a raise. You think that guy that's been there 2 years is going to say, I'm okay with everybody making $15? You're going to have to give them a raise too, right?
So the economic term that I've been told applies to that is called wage compression.
Yeah.
And in the experience in these other states, those folks already making at that slightly higher level, they don't see big bumps after these put in place. That small business can only deal with so much. That big business can only the big national business, they have shareholders they have to answer to about profitability. It's not even up to them. And the small guys, they're going to say, I want to keep you, I want to keep them. That's why it's those lower jobs, that the true entry-level jobs, that tend to go away. Because if I have to choose as a small business owner, I'm going to do all I can to choose on the side of experience, because I need someone who's done the job for more than a week, if at all possible. And so it's that entry-level job instead that gets cut, that gets replaced by a machine. Or the experience often in California is, okay, I've got 3 people doing the job. I got to let one of you go. It's probably going to be the newest person on the job. The other 2, you get to keep your job, and you got a higher paycheck now, but you have to do the third person's work too, so you see your family less. All kinds of ripple effects that are not healthy for our state.
We're talking with David Bond and Rick Farmer from OCBA about State Question 832. That is to raise the minimum wage in our state to $15 per hour with yearly increases. Back with more right after this.
Deer Creek Market and Variety in Hydro, the best in friendly small-town customer service, hosting everything from fresh hand-cut steaks, fresh ground beef made in-house, along with fresh fruits and vegetables, grown and made in Oklahoma, nuts, candies, salsas, pickles, and more. And don't forget to check out the Variety side, full of unique made-in-Oklahoma gift items. And now, treat yourself to the brand-new ice cream and coffee parlor, your new go-to spot for a sweet scoop or a fresh brew. Shop Deer Creek Market and Variety in Hydro.
Turn back the pages of history. See the Route 66 Porterhouse Diner where Elvis ate a hamburger. Play school in a one-room schoolhouse. Take photos of historic classic cars and trucks, all on display at the Heartland of America Museum in Weatherford, with hundreds of exciting exhibits giving you an up-close look at the life in Weatherford and western Oklahoma, all along Route 66.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
Visit the Heartland of America Museum today, located on South Frontage Road just off the East Main Weatherford exit between Airport Road.
A pepperoni pizza for the table. May I suggest trying it with our Pepsi Zero Sugar? It has just the right amount of sweetness to complement all that cheesy, saucy goodness. Simply divine.
Pepsi Zero Sugar? You've really outdone yourself this time. Pizza deserves Pepsi.
And all Pepsi products are brought to you locally, as always, by the Nicholson family at Pepsi in Clinton.
It's the Declaration of Deals sales event at Cummins Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Weatherford. Right now, savings are happening across the lot, and you don't want to miss the 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on all new 2026 Rams. This is an offer you can't afford to pass up. Drive in today and take advantage of the deals happening now at Cummins Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Test drive all CDJR models. Cummins Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Weatherford, just off I-40, or at CumminsChrysler.com.
Are you considering Christian education for your child and what it looks like day to day? Take a look at Western Oklahoma Christian School. Students in grades pre-K through 6th grade learn strong academics, Christian values, and use real books, real paper, and real pencils. We believe in hands-on learning instead of utilizing screens all day. Enrollment is currently open. Families may qualify for tuition assistance through June 15th with the Oklahoma Tax Credit Program. Students must be enrolled prior to applying for the assistance program. Learn more at WOCS.org.
David, do you need a new dishwasher?
I don't need a new dishwasher right now, but if you do need a new dishwasher, Bosch is the #1 ranked dishwasher in the U.S. They're extremely quiet. They offer superior cleaning performance. They're reliable and durable. We are Bosch Direct, so we will not be undersold on any dishwasher here that you're looking at.
Financing available, 12 months same as cash here at Topfest. Topfest and Bosch. Get your dishwasher today. That's Topfest on the corner of Main and Custer in downtown Weatherford.
Welcome back to the Western Oklahoma Wake Up Show. Our guests this morning, David Bond and Rick Farmer from the Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs. In case you're not aware, there's a state question coming up on the ballot June 16th. That is the primary election. We normally don't have a lot of state questions there, but we have one, and it's a biggie, and it's to raise the minimum wage in our state. Now, some of the proponents of this say, well, it's not going to really affect small businesses because there are exemptions like, if your gross receipts are, less than $100,000 a year, it's not going to affect you. Well, that's gross receipts, right?
Right. So it'll affect every industry, this doubling and then eventually continuing going up year after year, even after it hits $15 based on the cost of living in San Francisco and New York City. And then small businesses will have to try to do their best to keep up with that. And it's been hard for small businesses in California. Many of them have not. But there is an exemption. Well, there in the fine print of State Question 832, it says this will not apply to businesses with less than 10 employees unless what you said, your gross receipts, not profits, but gross receipts are $100,000 or more a year. Well, that's any business with employees.
Yeah.
That's what that is. So pretty much any business with employees in the state of Oklahoma will be subject to State Question 832, big or small, regardless of industry. It removes the farm exemption for family farms and ranches and treats them like any other industry, even though that industry is incredibly seasonal and is incredibly reliant on weather and all sorts of other factors that most industries just are not. Those are the types of things that would do to our state. It's been incredibly destructive. It's been a true job killer in those West Coast states that have been doing it 10 years or more. There are a few states in the middle of the country here that have adopted something like this within the past 5 years. Missouri and Arkansas, for instance, have. But it's been less than 5 years that they've had that in place. They have not had the time to see the true ramifications of that. It's just those states on the West Coast and a few cities on the East Coast, like New York City, who really have had the opportunity. Okay, we've had this for a decade or more. How's it going? Those three states that have been doing it this way for 10 years, those are the three highest grocery price states in the continental U.S. Oklahoma is one of the lowest grocery price states, and most other major cost areas of essentials that most people have to deal with week to week and month to month are double or more what they are here in Oklahoma. It's very, very real.
And businesses are pulling out of states like California. I mean, In-N-Out was even there. I mean, they were founded in California. It's a staple out there. He's talking about moving his corporate headquarters and putting more stores out in this area and less in California. And that $100,000 exemption, quote, exemption, I was just thinking about all the small businesses out here. If you go downtown Weatherford or downtown Clinton, there are little boutiques that sell clothing. Well, you don't have to sell. You don't have to sell a lot to come up with $100,000. A car repair shop, they're probably doing $500,000 gross receipts. Convenience stores, especially if they sell gas, that's easily $500,000. It sounds like a lot of money, but that's gross. That's before paying all the expenses. 3 people at $15 an hour already takes all that $100,000, right?
Well, and 832 says it. Gross business of $100,000 or more. So it's not even just gross receipts.
Okay.
The way I think most people interpret that is even the cost of doing business. Those piling up as well. You're getting to $100,000 very, very quickly if you're employing anybody besides yourself.
Yeah.
Which most businesses on Main Street are. We're talking about mom and pop shops of every kind. Food, retail, auto repair, all sorts of different mom and pop businesses that are going to be absolutely hammered by this. It does sometimes benefit big national and international corporations because they have the scale that they can deal with it, they can absorb it, and we'll just make more profit in Texas next year to make up for it. And we'll automate as much as we can. That's what they're doing in California and those other West Coast states. So many more things are becoming automated there than what we have even seen here in the state of Oklahoma. We're very blessed with a business climate here. Our wages are growing at a better clip than states that do minimum wage this way. There's literally no good reason to adopt something like this. If in those other states that have been doing it a while, they were seeing better wage growth, they were seeing better job growth, their prices were still as low as ours, then I think we would have to say, well, I guess it's not that big a deal. Sure, vote yes, it's fine. But that is not at all how it's going in those other places. They're seeing exponentially higher prices than Oklahomans have seen in the last 6 years. Significant job loss. California's pushed 2 million people out of the workforce there since they started doing minimum wage this way with these annual increases year after year after year. We don't want that here in Oklahoma. This will result in at least 16,000 jobs lost, a majority of those coming from small business. That's not the direction Oklahoma wants to go.
And once again, we talked about this earlier, but if this goes into effect, it doesn't stay at $15 an hour very long. Within a year, potentially goes up.
So it will stair step up to 15 in 3 steps. Go to $12 an hour January 1st of next year, $13.50 the January after that, and then January of 2029 it will hit $15, and then it will start going up every year thereafter based on that National Cost of Living Index from the federal government for urban areas. Not for anywhere. It doesn't factor in any way.
It's not the regular
cost of living
CPI.
in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of different CPIs, and this is the one that does not include Oklahoma. That's what we would be basing the increases off that small businesses have to deal with. So every time the politicians in those states like New York and California do things on their own to raise the cost of living with an environmental regulation or a tax increase, which they enjoy doing, it's just kind of a regular routine for them, that is what will be used to determine how much a small business has to deal with here in Oklahoma.
Well, it's frightening stuff, and you guys have some great articles about all the ramifications of 832 on your website at OCPA. Is it .org or
OCPAthink.org?
Think.org, yeah.
OCPAthink.org. And also SQ832killsjobs.com. We have a special website for this state question. It's a special state question. It deserves a special website. SQ832killsjobs.com.
David Bond and Rick Farmer, our guests from OCPA. Just quickly, in the time that we have left, the Oklahoma legislature has been really busy, and of course they've done some things to improve literacy in our state.
Yes,
and talking about third grade retention. I saw an op-ed in the Daily Oklahoman where, of course, they have to find one supposed experts saying, oh, that's a bad thing. They're not going to be able to find jobs if we hold them back in third grade. Well, I'm like, well, if you can't read, you're probably not going to find a job. But why would anybody be against literacy?
Whenever you're trying to change the status quo in some way, there's always going to be somebody that says, well, hold on a minute. But I think with childhood, especially elementary age reading proficiency is something that the vast majority of folks want to get behind. The vast majority of folks know that while some kids are on a great trajectory in school, some kids, for all sorts of different reasons, are really at a disadvantage. And so putting in more steps that have common sense things, not to try to retain a child in third grade. That's not the point of any of these things. The point of these things is to not retain a child in third grade, to make sure a child doesn't need to be retained, that they continue progressing through school in a successful way. Things that have proven themselves in Florida and Mississippi and several other states, just making sure that if we're spending $14,000 a kid to put them through school, which is the average around the state each year, it's not the same in Weatherford as it is in Tulsa, but that's the average statewide. Let's at least make sure they can read good.
Yeah.
That's a really important thing. That is the foundation for everything else. We're really excited about those bills and very excited to see them progress, and not a lot of roadblocks for them so far.
Good. Potentially another couple of state questions. Rick, maybe you can touch on this. This gets done. We would have a couple of state questions having to do with Medicaid expansion, taking that back to the voters. Would it be taking it out of the Constitution where it's more of a statute? So if the government, which we know they're going to do eventually, doesn't come up with their 90% of those dollars, it's going to cost us even more, right?
Right. So this is the Obamacare Medicaid expansion that was passed on the ballot 6 years ago. And it is racking up costs really fast that otherwise could go to public safety, could go to schools, could go to quicker road improvements. But instead, it's going to health care for able-bodied adults. That's what we're talking about here.
Like $500 million, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not talking about age blind and disabled. We're not talking about pregnant mothers. We're talking about able-bodied adults, able-bodied males. Actually, is the group of people we're talking about who now has taxpayer-funded health care because of this thing that we've had now for 6 years. And the idea is to take it out of the Constitution. So if things go haywire at the federal level, if the feds decide we're going to reduce what we're contributing to that, then Oklahoma lawmakers have the flexibility to make adjustments to protect public safety, to protect road improvements, to protect schools, all those things that folks in Oklahoma have really emphasized time and again, that this is right on the doorstep of eating into, and probably will directly start. It's really started directly eating into those things already, but it will only get bigger and bigger and bigger. There's not a lot in the healthcare market that encourages it to be efficient, and so these costs start racking up, especially when hospitals know that taxpayers are footing the bill. Then it really accelerates on the cost.
It'll be interesting to see what voters would say if we get those state questions on there. I can hear the Democrats saying now, what? You're voting to do away with Medicare expansion, and that's not really what it is.
No. Medicaid was meant for age blind and disabled, pregnant moms and children. But 6 years ago, President Obama had put this thing in place to get states, try to incentivize states to do more than that. Provide free taxpayer-funded health care for able-bodied adult males who are totally able to work and are not disabled.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about here. And so the idea of, right, because it's in the state constitution, it's hard for lawmakers to make adjustments if things go haywire. It's hard for them to protect public safety in roads and schools if things go haywire with this. And so the idea is allowing them the flexibility to do that.
Well, we will see what happens with that. And once again, back to our main topic, State Question 832. It's going to be on the June primary ballot. It's, I think, the only state question, right?
There will only be one, yeah. So tell your friends, doesn't even have to be complicated. The state question, just vote no. Which one? It doesn't matter, just vote no.
So let me just mention one other thing here, and that is how much raise this escalator is going to push up wages for cities and counties, and how that's going to affect taxpayers. So I've talked to some of the city and county officials here in the Weatherford area, and they're saying, we pay $14 an hour, we pay $16 an hour. It's not really a big deal. But in 3 or 4 years, when this state question 832 pushes the wages up above that, then the city and the county and the school board are going to have to start giving raises to people that like mow the lawn, pick up the trash, do those kinds of things. And where's that money going to come from? Yeah. Well, it's going to come from the taxpayers. And ultimately, it's going to end up costing taxpayers more because these entities have to have balanced budgets. And they've got to pick up the trash, and they've got to mow the parks and those kinds of things.
Well, it's important. The word is no, a word that I heard a lot from women in high school. No, Todd, no. State question, it's a no for me. David Bond, Rick Farmer, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you, Todd, for having us.
Thank you.